Welcome back to the adventures of our pod crew. We're Danielle and Heido, and together with our 8 dogs, Reina, Rayo, Bella, Pepper and Mowgli, Gomez, Bull, and Pearly.
What have you done, Gomez? Gomez, what's that on your back? What is that on your back? Is that mud or is that poo? It's definitely poo. What do you think, Rayo? Poo? Cow poo? You look clean, buddy. Thank you, bud.
We spent a relaxing week by a river relaxing for some anyway, and then said goodbye to Costa Rica for now, as we set off in our van to travel the world together. This time we spend a week traveling through Nicaragua, starting in San Juan del Sur. After a relatively quick stop at the beach, the theme of this adventure turned out to be volcanoes. We spent several days on the idyllic tropical volcanic island of Ometepe. Drove to the top and looked into the active volcano at Masaya twice at night and in the daylight. And before leaving the country and entering into Honduras, we spent our last day next to the looming volcano and sudsy lake of Momotombo.
I love you, Bella. You're so cute.
After an interesting border crossing, a lot better than we'd anticipated actually, since we didn't know of anyone else who had done it with so many dogs. We had a crowd of people from every department, from immigration to police, out around the van, enthusiastically and happily checking out our pod crew. They were surprisingly happy to see some crazy people with so many. We finally rolled into San Juan del Sur at about 10 o'clock at night. Let the dogs have a beach stroll and figured we were too late to eat anything ourselves. So as soon as we saw this taco and burrito shop, we jumped on in. We were so happy to not have to go to bed hungry after a very long day. We even treated ourselves to a rare but quick night on the town. It wasn't all that pumpin', but it was perfectly fine with us. One and done. Happy people and a happy pod crew, we all fell right asleep and slept super soundly. I've been to San Juan del Sur many times back in the day when I used to have to renew my tourist visa for Costa Rica every 3 months, and it hasn't changed much at all, which is nice. Nearby waves like Playa Maderas, Yankee, Colorado, and Popoyo bring surfers from all over the world to this part of Nicaragua. A great cheap place to grab some typical food is in the Central Market.
Hello, sweetheart. Oh, you're sweet. Oh, you're sweet. Oh, you thought that was food.
Our gallo pinto was unfortunately a little bland, which Heido joked that it was because the Nicaraguans don't know how to make gallo pinto. This is kind of funny because there's definitely a bit of a friendly rivalry between Costa Rica and Nicaragua, as they both claim to have invented this combination of rice and beans mixed together. The juices were phenomenal though, and this homemade salsa picante could liven up anything. We were pretty anxious to get going as we were off to a magical land. An island, in fact, in the middle of Lake Nicaragua. Ometepe is made up of 2 volcanoes, one of which is still very much active. A lot of people come to Ometepe to hike either one or both of the volcanoes. However, we had a much more relaxing time in mind. I would actually love to climb one of the volcanoes someday.
Hey, Rayo, you having fun with your sisters?
But logistically, we weren't sure about having all 8 dogs on the hike, as we are all still learning to use leashes. We vowed to take this journey slowly and enjoy lots of time outside all together, which is exactly what we did over the next few days. The dogs had a huge area to run around and even some neighbor dogs to play with. The water was really warm in the lake, and we watched as locals came down to fish and do laundry daily.
We're saying goodbye to Ometepe, picking up some breakfast to have on the ferry. We've spent 3 lovely days here and just had the nicest place to park along the lakeside. The dogs ran around free and happy. We met a lot of nice locals and had some interesting conversations, and it's time to go. It's very, very hard to leave. It's a beautiful place, and I very highly recommend coming here and checking it out.
Those are actually laundry huts. And a short while later arrived to the Spanish colonial city of Granada, where we grabbed a quick bite to eat. And then we hit the road again, as we were off to somewhere truly special. I have wanted to peer down inside of a volcano for as long as I can remember, and we were about to get to do exactly that. And boy, did she not disappoint. She was rumbling and the red lava was gurgling. Apparently, if there's any kind of rain at all, everybody has to leave the park. So we timed it perfectly this evening, as it rained right when we were about to go in. We waited for a few minutes until it stopped, and then it didn't rain again the whole time we were in there until we left. We got so lucky. They don't give any refunds if you happen to just drive in while it starts raining. I'm legit obsessed with volcanoes for some reason, so I had to go back the next day and see what it looked like in the daylight. It was awesome also that we got to take the dogs with us inside. Quite the experience, and again, we're all learning to use leashes here, as we're used to running free. Well, we did our best anyway. It was not easy at all to pull myself away from this fascinating, natural, powerful place. But eventually it was time to load up the crew, as we had lots more adventures ahead of us. We were only a few days away from heading into Honduras, which I know better than to blindly believe the negative hype. I had done my research and found time and time again that the dangerous areas were concentrated into specific neighborhoods, which is usually the case when an entire place has a bad reputation, just because of a couple small areas. However, there was still a little doubt and worry that would creep into my mind when I left it unguarded. I knew it was going to be okay, and I actually was really excited to see it for myself. I also got extremely nervous right before every border crossing, as I always wondered if we would run into a place that wouldn't let us in. Information on crossing borders with 8 dogs is pretty scarce as far as I could find, and I was about to find out that I was kind of right. We soaked up an entire day by the mighty Momotombo volcano, which is just a cool name by itself, but it's also a very beautiful place right on the lake shore. We let the dogs run to their heart's content as we knew the border crossing the next day was going to be a long one. We'll catch up with you next time as we cross into Honduras. And boy, do we get a huge surprise.